Hi everyone and welcome back to your weekly installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from September 7th to the 13th of 2024. Today's video is action-packed and you don't know who's going to come out on top. We've got things from Zendikar Rising all the way through to Bloomburrow. So who comes out number one? Stick around and find out. Hey guys, thanks again for hanging out with the Moxman. I hope you're having a great day today as this video comes out on Saturdays discussing the top 10. A reminder, if you enjoy today's content, to like and subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell, and of course you can also help out my channel by shopping on TCG Player using my TCG Player affiliate link that is found in the description of this video. 3.5% kickback helps out a lot. Let's go to number 10 this week, and we're starting out with something just strange, guys. We're going to Rolling Vortex. This thing had 1,223 sales this week, or $2,140.25 of sales action. Now, this card's only $1.75, but we are talking about Zendikar Rising, right? This came out years ago. What caused this card to come zooming up into the top 10? Well, that's something else. Let's not forget, this is a 1 red, 1 generic, rare, and it has a nice enchantment text box that says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, Rolling Vortex deals 1 damage to them. Whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast that spell, and Rolling Vortex will deal 5 damage to that player. You can also pay a red, and your opponents can't gain life this turn. And this is all because of Duskmourn and the Commander deck. Don't forget that, guys. Now, for our next card. Lorien Revealed takes the number 9 position this week, coming from Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. 1,392 sales this week, $3,326.88 of sales action. But let's face it, this card shouldn't be here, but either should Rolling Vortex. Guys, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on whenever a new set gets dropped, and it looks like we're seeing mega sales action. So pay attention to this video to keep these updates in your mind for cards that are spiking. Now, Lorien Revealed is 5 casting cost, man. 3 generic, 2 blue, but you get to draw 3 cards. But it's the bottom effect that most people use, and that is the island cycling for 1. Discard this card, search your library for an island card, reveal it, put it into your hand. I have seen the card used both ways, but the idea that these cards are becoming something of a sales item right now is something players need to be aware of, because with the market like this, you can cash in big time if you bought these things at the low end. Let's go ahead and take a look at our number 8 card this week. Now for number 8, it is 6 from Modern Horizons 3. $4.44. I almost said 48. It's 44. And it's 1,534 sales this week, or $6,810.96 of total sales action. Now, this card was desirable as soon as Modern Horizons 3 came out. It continued to have hundreds of sales for weeks on end. And then, like most cards, the action died down and the card just kind of fell to the wayside. It doesn't mean it wasn't sought after, it just means it didn't have mega sales. Now, taking a look at this card, for 1 green, 2 generic, it's a 2/4 legendary Treefolk with reach, but it also has a great text box that says, whenever 6 attacks, you mill 3 cards, you can put a land card from among them into your hand. And as long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace. This is actually a really powerful card, and it looks like players are taking advantage of the price point of the card right now. Now let's take a look at our number 7 card this week. Now number 7 is going to be a little bit of a throwback. You remember this guy. This is the Heartfire Hero. Now this card's $2.88. It's seen a massive surge, and for the people who bought it at 30 cents, remember I said get 4 for $1.20? For you guys who did that, you just made a killing. This card here at number 7 is $5,068 of total sales action, 1,760 sales, but this card is seeing a lot of arena play. There's ways of pumping it up and killing it that make it work out great for players to deal massive amounts of damage. So let's take a closer look here. Artwork is epic, by the way, from Bloomburrow for this card. It's a mouse soldier, so it also works in soldier decks. It's a 1/1 with Valiant. Whenever Heartfire Hero becomes the target of a spell or ability you control for the first time, it gets a +1/+1 counter. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Each opponent, man, they build these commander cards just so juicy, don't they? It just screams, put it in a mono red burn deck and make everyone hate you, friends and enemies alike. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card. I know, it's getting pretty exciting, guys. Now, for our next card, it's Fountain Port. This thing was taken off last week, and now it's right back on. $5 for this card, a good balancing of the price point. 1,790 sales, or $8,950 of total sales action. It took the number 6 spot. Now, this card, I've seen it used in Standard. I've seen it, and I'm not impressed. I've told you guys this before. It has multiple abilities. It's very versatile, but it has not been a game-deciding card. But friends who have used this in Commander seem to be having a little bit more luck, okay? Now, for this card, let's take a closer look. It's just a regular land, and it says add colors to your mana pool. Pay 2, you can sacrifice a token to draw a card. Pay 3 and 1 life, you can create a blue fish, and then of course you can pay 4 and create a treasure token. Now, the things that multiply the tokens, that's where things get crazy in Commander, and there's a lot of people utilizing this, so keep an eye on it. Now, for our next card, this is Propaganda, and this is coming to us. That's right, guys, can you believe it? Universes Beyond. That's right, guys. We are going all the way over, if you can believe it. So 2010 sales, $2,894.44, and it's $1.44 for this card, okay? Now, I honestly didn't think we'd be seeing any of these cards back in action again. Some are desirable, but none of them seem to be attracting enough attention to warrant a high price tag or massive amounts of sales. But it looks like Propaganda kind of sneaks in there and gets a little bit of attention. And it's a reprint card anyway. So Propaganda is 1 blue, 2 generic. It's an enchantment. Creatures cannot attack you unless a controller pays 2 for each creature attacking, that they control that's attacking you. So when you look at this card, you put this with Pendril Mist and all these other crazy cards, you got something there for those Commander decks when you don't want opponents with massive tokens to come slaughtering you. I like this card. I like it a lot. I really do. Now let's jump over to Bloomburrow. We've waited long enough. Here we have the Caretaker's Talent. Now, this card's $11.54. It's holding strong sales, and it's on a lot of wish lists. 2,303 sales. That's $26,567.62. Guys, that's a ton of sales for a card at this price point, at this phase of its life. I really thought the action would die down and this would drop off the top 10. Innkeeper's Talent did not make the list this week, and you can see that the desirability for the card is remaining strong. Now, Caretaker's Talent is, of course, 1 white, 2 generic. You get tokens, you get to get cards whenever a token's created, and later on you can pump this thing up for the 4 mana to make sure all the tokens you control get +2/+2. I love using it with Mirix as well as the Forge, because I copy the Forge creature after combat, so you can get that big creature for the next turn, or as a blocker. Always a good thing to keep in mind. Great card. I can see why people are desiring it and buying a lot of copies. Watch the speculators. Now, for our next card today, this is going to be Dawn's Truce. This hasn't been on for a couple of weeks. $4.85 is the average price for this card, but it still sold 2,591 copies. That's $12,566.35 of total sales action. Now, I've always enjoyed the artwork. I do think it's kind of pretty and kind of a throwback for things I remember in my childhood seeing at like art museums. But this card actually is pretty good, and the gifted card is not that bad of a price to pay when you got to save everything. So let's take a closer look at this card so we can see what we're talking about. For 1 white and 1 generic, this bad boy gives you an instant with gifted card. You may, you and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. And if the gift was promised and you paid it, well, the permanents you control also gain indestructible. That saves you from board wipes. Keep this in mind. Crazy stuff, man. Now, for our next card, guys, the Bloomburrow bomb is about to happen. You just keep watching. We got the Corsication Mage, or however it gets pronounced. This one was on there for a while. It jumped off. It's back on again. 35 cents a card, but only 941 sales. But that's 2,689 copies. Now, it does have Offspring too, but the bottom ability, remember, 2 for a 2/2 is great. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent. Now, see again that 1 damage to each opponent? These are all players building the new Vorgoth deck from Duskmourn. These are all connecting cards causing thousands of sales to cycle through as players build the deck. None of these cards are super pricey, which is awesome. The interest will die down, and even these cards later on will be back to where they were before, guys. It's not going to maintain itself. It's just how the market is when some new hot and spicy Commander deck gets created by Wizards of the Coast. It's the flavor of the month. It's a flavor. It'll pass. Go back to Baskin-Robbins next month, Wizards of the Coast, and they'll have something new for you, because they do it every month. All right, our next card. Now, number 1, Patchwork Banner is still here, guys. Now, the banner comes in with 2,869 sales, $9,840.67 of total sales action. This thing is $3.43 on average, but it really is getting hard to find. Like, as the sales are happening, I know a lot of people have this on wish lists at local stores and they can't find any. Not as many Bloomburrow packs are being opened anymore, but guess what? That news might surprise you that there's more being opened than people realize. Guys, this thing is a 3 casting cost artifact. As it comes into play, you choose a creature type. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1, and it can add mana to your mana pool of any color, which means this thing fits into any deck that uses creatures, and that means commander, it means standard, I don't know, modern, wherever you want to play this thing, it's going to have a home. A great card that's really going to fit well, and players know it, and players want it. Guys, let's get to the wrap-up here and just go an overview of the market and what's happening. Now, a lot of the sales action, at least 3 of those cards, are all directly related to what's happening with Duskmourn. That means, and it lets you know, if you follow the market, you can see how these things connect together. Now, the rolling, you follow that through, all these things do 1 damage to their opponent. The Volgoth deck from Duskmourn, the commander deck, people are going to want to augment this deck right away. They want to have these cards ready to go, because in a couple of weeks we have the actual set being released, and then they're ready to modify the deck and actually start augmenting it to make it better, to make it more powerful than what Wizards of the Coast intended in a pre-constructed deck. Guys, this is insane to think about how many sales happen whenever Commander players get involved. But Commander is the most popular format currently played. And those players are spending huge money. It just doesn't look like it. When you see a couple of dollar card, you don't think much of it. But I'm looking at the thousands of dollars in individual cards bought across hundreds of cards being created for all these decks. There are millions of dollars slushing around in any given week on the secondary market. It doesn't have to be reserve list. The sheer volume of people playing, the actual player base, buying these cards and investing hard-earned dollars to build the commander, to build the hobby, to build the fun that they want to play, can just be mind-boggling. I got English. I got words. They just don't always come out right. Guys, it's insane. The sales were huge. These here, you should see how many sales hit the 1,000 mark. It just kind of rolled on. And by the way, that particular commander deck is selling exceptionally well. And at the end of this video here, I want to remind you guys, Bloomburrow, the sales for the actual packs from like Play Booster are actually selling still pretty well. Enough that some restocks are coming from stores. They're kind of topping things up. But here we are at the end of the video. If you're watching this far, you can put a boomstick in the comment section. But I don't know what to tell you guys. I've tried to inform people, but I haven't got a lot of views on these. Duskmourn is not selling great. It's not having what a lot of stores thought was going to happen. And the Ghostbuster Secret Lair, which I called. If you saw my video, I called that before everybody. Cartoony. A lot of players don't like a lot of that artwork. So, it is what it is. Players decide with their wallets. And I can't wait to see you guys for the Sunday reserve list, okay? We're going to have a great time. There's some good sales on there. I'll see you guys soon. Have an awesome day. Hey guys, welcome back, and you're at the end of the video. If you can believe it, we're not done. This isn't over. You just got to keep going and going, because these are the patrons, the supporters of my channel who make sure that daily uploaded content is created every day. I may be putting in the effort, but they're putting in the money to back it up. So thanks again, guys. Thanks again to my patrons, YouTube membership members, and regular viewers for all the thumbs up. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, we're here at the Ramble Jamble, and as much as I'd like to hang out here, the internet guy's here. I'm getting my internet stalled because I did this first thing Saturday morning. I wanted to try to catch a few more sales. It didn't work out the way I thought, but it doesn't matter. It's early. I got coffee downstairs, and I know the guy has texted saying he's going to be here any minute. So hopefully Sunday, hopefully, we've got good internet. Ramble Jamble!